Well, I don't know. You might want to blur the background and make the, what's the lowest F? Try both. Top of the morning. I'm with Mr. Steve Ward again. This is getting to be a habit, Steve. We are up early this morning and we're doing what I like to call drive-by shootings. We're just driving around and we were just discussing that it's legal to shoot from a public highway, a public road, as long as you don't cross into personal property. And we stopped at the Devil's Elbow train bridge and looked down there, but it's pretty overgrown. There's only one area to take pictures. Tell me what you don't like about summer landscapes.
The sun comes up really, really early, so we wanted to be up at sunrise. I told Mike I'd pick him up at 5, and we were already in the blue hour at 5 o'clock. I would have had to pick him up at 4:30 to be anywhere else. That's too early.
I know. And then in the Ozarks, summer isn't very photographic. You start thinking about maybe wildlife, or we start shifting to sunset.
Yeah, that'd be a lot easier to get to.
I think from now on you might see some sunset. Now, come back to the channel, and I never say this, but please subscribe to our channel.
Right there at the bottom.
Yeah, Steve did that in the video, and I thought, why didn't I think of that? So come back and see what we both come up with.
Mill Creek Cemetery is what we're shooting toward. Years ago, I tried to get to the cemetery because I'm pretty sure it's a really old one, but you got to go right through someone's personal property to get there, and they have lots of dogs. And so that's as far as I got. And then the lady came out, and I didn't stop long enough to notice if she had a shotgun or anything like that. We just turned around and left. But anyway, this is a real pretty spot. Come down here fishing every once in a while, obviously doing some photography. The spider web we shot last year was just over the hill that way. So yeah, we've tried several things around here. And believe it or not, we're going to change lenses this time. I showed up with the landscape lens on. Thankfully, I remembered a bit of a telephoto. And this one, actually, my uncle just sent it to me because he wasn't using it for anything. And he thought maybe I could get better use out of it.
What's the focal length?
55 to 300.
I think we got our first vehicle coming.
Yeah, look, the sky's starting to light up. Pink.
Yep, I think we're going to get a little color in the sky too, so.
So you're going to make me think out loud?
Mm-hmm.
This could be bad.
Early in the morning.
Yeah, let's go to live view just so I don't have to bend down as much. All right.
Oh, that looks good already.
Don't like the little guy right in front of me, so I'm going to scoot up over here. Alright, so here's the part that I'm kind of weak at, and usually I have to... Mike's camera can see the histogram right away. Mine does not. So I'm going to go with native ISO. I just like to start low, because in the film days, that was a quieter photo, less grain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll start there. For some reason my bracketing is on, don't know why. My automatic focus was off. I don't know what I was doing before. So
it looks like the fog is moving towards us too, which could be good. Steve's going to have to take a shot to show his histogram.
Yeah, and right now it's just a guess. I'm going to switch down to... I know my landscape lens, f8 is the good place to be. So I'm going to start there. And
In the history, yep. So he's going to open up his shutter speed. Shutter speed in the back.
I'll never learn. And so I'm also going to switch so I don't shake the camera. And so I made big changes. I've already forgotten how far I've gone down, but
he'll take another one.
And it's on a timer now, so there we go. It's creeping up.
Yep, a little more.
A little
He's looking at the histogram, and we use exposure to the right until the highlights touch the right-hand side of the histogram. Pointed out to him this time, Steve, the histogram.
Yeah, so there's like
Getting
the
closer.
curves. So yeah, we're trying to get it up here without touching, but get it close. And so...
And basically what Steve is doing is manual bracketing. He's bringing it from the darkest to the lightest. So if he blows out the sky, he still has a couple darker ones. So there we go. That's perfect. One in the bag, as they say.
Yeah, now it's just a question of letting the fog do what fog does, and
being patient.
Yeah, because now the house that drew our attention
is in fog.
So
we may have to, but the other side looks pretty good too. There's a telephone pole in the composition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Steve's way back there shooting his picture. He shoots a Nikon D7100. I've got the D850. His is a crop sensor, mine's a full sensor. But I told him he doesn't need to upgrade. He needs to outgrow his camera. One of the things he noticed is that mine does a live histogram, and I'm going to show you that. Okay, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. Let me tilt this down a little bit. I have the level on, so I'm level. Now I'm going to go through my information here. And right there is my live histogram. If I cover up my lens, watch the histogram. See, it changes. It's a live histogram, so I'm going to slow down my shutter speed until my highlights almost touch on the right hand side. I like that one. Now my focus, this is also another thing. I can touch focus. I'm going to focus on that little grass right there, and I'm going to shoot one. I have a delayed shutter also. I'm going to hit live view again. I'm going to focus one about mid-ground, shoot another one. And then I'm going to focus, as soon as it comes back on, way back in here. And then in post-processing, I'll combine to get the depth of field that I want. F8s, I usually shoot around F8 because that's the sharpest part of my lens.
Well, I had to adjust my settings a tiny bit because the light was starting to push my histogram too far up. Did that, and I thought, this only happens once. Let's take a vertical shot. I'm not expecting to like it a whole lot, but you never know. Sometimes you get home and say, whoa, that's a shot. And then a long time ago, you were mentioning to me about voice scenes, like what's your style of photography? And at the time I said, I have no idea. I don't think I have one. And as I look through my previous photos, I tend to like vertical shots an awful lot. Although this is a fog scene, so it's going left to right. Histogram's about, you can't go it any further. And got fog, got a lot of foreground now, and I got the red.
You might try some focus stacking if you've got foreground because of the short depth of field.
Okay.
And you might like the short depth of field. Sometimes that works so that your viewer looks at your main subject, which I'm guessing you're still in the barn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, focus stacking, possible to do it in manual, or do you always do that?
Yeah, do it in manual. Focus in the foreground, focus in the midground and background then.
Okay.
Steve is working on I think a real nice composition. If he doesn't panic.
You get into a rush.
If he gets this picture, it'll definitely make the video. Oh, you're getting some beautiful lighting. Zoom back just a little bit and add some of that foreground fog if you can get it.
Yeah, I just zoomed in so I could focus.
Oh, you're on that lower one. I didn't even see it. Oh, there you go. Oh, you got some beautiful lighting going on there.
You can drop your video camera.
Oh, no. Yes. I think Steve's got a winner there. Where's your focus point?
On the dead tree.
Okay, that's your subject, yeah. This may have been worth the whole trip, that photo there.
Cool.
This is not the way to use your camera. Leave it set out your bag in the middle of the road because you're so excited that Steve's getting a photo. I think we got some good ones. Steve went back to his favorite lens.
Yeah, I like this tree here.
Tree's got some nice texture to it.
Shrink my tripod and
Get a low camera angle.
yeah.
He's seeing the same tree I saw, this one right here. It's got a nice root on it. You were saying?
I know you do the drive shooting often. I've watched old videos with you and Piper, that's your dog, going out and doing that. And I was never sure how often you go out and come back with nothing, like you've driven around for a couple hours and nothing.
Basically, it's kind of like a fishing trip. How often do you get skunked? You just go out, the weather conditions aren't right, you wake up late. There's lots of factors. The factors are more likely that you're not going to get a wall hanger. You may go out and photograph, and I always say, going out and photographing, we're practicing putting up our tripods, getting our f-stop, our histogram right, so when the epic photo hits,
right,
we're practiced up. It becomes muscle memory almost, that you
right.
know which dial to turn. And I'm still telling Steve, front dial, back dial. And that took a while to figure that out. F-stop is usually the front dial on an Icon. Shutter speed is usually your back dial. But
I am getting the back button focus down. It took a while for that. So
yeah. It does. It takes muscle memory, practice. It almost becomes second nature. I heard a photographer once say that your camera becomes an extension of yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and to put it in musical terms, I do try to play guitar. And at first it's really hard because you have to stare at your hand. But after a while, your fingers know where to go. You don't have to look down there. They know where the strings are at and the frets, and you get them because you practice it.
That's a great analogy. That's exactly what we're doing this morning. Now, I think we might have got a good one, especially I liked the composition that Steve lined up with the dead tree. The light was perfect. We've only been here maybe 10 minutes and the fog is completely gone now.
Yeah.
So, but we don't like getting up early.
Gosh,
it was a pain in the butt. Okay, we're going back to the vehicle. Okay, so I went into manual focus and Steve brought up a good point. Tell him again what you said, Steve.
We both shoot Nikons, and the camera itself has an automatic manual focus, as does the lens. I've always been switching both buttons, and the one on the camera is hard to get around to. It's tough.
Yes, it's hidden.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd put it on the back somewhere.
So do you have to switch both buttons?
No, normally I just go to the lens because I've always done it that way. I think it's just out of habit. Yes, you're right, but it is hard to find to go into manual on the camera.
And what I discovered, even today, I was reminded, even if I switch the one on the camera, the lens itself is still in automatic, and you can't twist it until you
right
until you move that one on the lens.
Yeah.
Take that one out.
So
of gear.
just the one on the lens is what I've always done.
Well,
and you saw him, and you can zoom in to do the focus just like I did, didn't you? You have the little zoom button.
Yep.
And that's what I use. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me turn the camera around here.
Although I forgot that today. I was zooming all the way with my lens.
You probably won't see this very good. I'm going to hit the plus button. See, I can zoom in on what I want my subject to be. And I'm going to shoot another one. Well, Steve, I think it turned out to be a pretty good morning. I mean, we didn't have a lot of different subjects. We both shot the field. Our photos are going to look a lot alike, but I think you got the winner.
Like I said last time we were out, don't want to jinx ourselves. Want to go home and put it on a computer and see. as you were shooting this other subject, I was reminded that you can use your magnifying glass to zoom in and then focus. I was doing it the old-fashioned way. I was zooming in with my lens, focusing and pulling back.
That's the way we used to do it.
Yeah, which could jostle the lens though. And,
Yeah.
I mentioned to her, is like, you taught me just to throw those sliders to the side. And
Extreme.
Extreme, and then come back to where it looks good. You could spend an awful lot of time moving them by a hair in the middle area.
Yeah, and that's the way I started though. You'd tweak it, and then you tweak it a little more. Well, just go extreme and pull it back. And
Right.
but a lot of times I'll go back a couple days later and go, well, what was I thinking, you know?
Yeah, I always let them cool off.
That's a good way to put it, cool off.
Yeah, it's kind of like writing. I was an English teacher, and I like writing. And you may think you've banged out the greatest short story ever, but you better wait 24 hours to reread it, and you'll be amazed how many misspellings you have, and because you're in a rush and you just didn't see them. And so, yeah, let it cool off and see the next day whether you still like the photos or not.
I like that. I'm going to borrow that analogy because I'm always saying we bake our pictures in Lightroom, so maybe we'll let the brownie cool off before we taste it. So.
Yeah.
So our takeaway from this morning, Steve said it best. It happens real fast.
Yeah.
The fog is completely gone. The sun is pretty high already. It seems like, especially in the summer months, getting up early, it just happens so quickly. But if we got anything, we'll put it to the video. Steve's been helping me a lot with the video. If you haven't seen the one that Steve did by himself of the Vietnam Wall, go back and look at that one. I thought he did an excellent job. And like I said earlier, we're going 2 different directions next month. Steve's going to be around here, and I'm going towards Colorado. So come back. Steve will probably have some, I'm putting pressure on him. Steve probably will have some videos posted on the website.
Yeah, we're going to attempt
YouTube.
a Milky Way shot. I think I'm going to try to get Carlos out for that.
We've been trying to get Carlos to go with us. So Carlos, if you watch this, you need to go with us, man.
Oh, now I see some spider webs. Maybe it's time to go shoot again.
Uh-oh. Okay. Cheers. Talk to you later. So I talked Steve into going back and getting his camera. We're at, he thinks it's called Yancey Springs, but he's always wanted to do a photo of cotton water, but then he always gets movement. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 exposures, one for cotton water and one for moving foliage, moving greenery. So Steve's setting up his camera for the composition. You kind of see it over his shoulder there, that rock with the leaf on it. Then he's going to add some of this greenery right in there. The problem is that greenery, because of the water moving, he's got to do a shutter speed thing. So he's going to get set up, get the composition, and then we're going to shoot one for his histogram.
Always the wrong side.
And go native ISO. There you go.
We want to slow down the water a lot, and I've always started at a 30th of a second with the water.
No, even slower than that.
Slower than that? Okay.
So let's go. Well, go ahead and shoot one. Let's see what the histogram shows.
And I got it on a delay so the tripod steadies before it goes off.
And actually, that's pretty good. So what do you think? You think you got something?
The answer is yes. I'm even thinking, let's pretend I knew nothing, which I really don't know much of anything. One of those exposures would be good all by itself. At least the previous me would say that's the one. I love the cottony water. Perfect. But we're trying to go from really good to great by freezing the movement that's not the cottony water. So anyway, just trying to step it up a little bit. That kind of makes a difference between a good photo and a great photo. So I would have been really happy with good. I still am happy with good. Just trying to amp it up a little bit.
There you go.